Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English in Advance, designed for learners at every stage from beginner to advanced. I'm Jennifer, and today we're diving into a topic that I know is at the top of many of your minds, something you truly dream of achieving: how to speak English like a native speaker. Have you ever felt that little sting of frustration? Perhaps after a conversation where you knew all the words, but they just didn't seem to flow naturally, leaving you feeling a bit like a robot and a bit like a textbook? Maybe you're tired of sounding perfect but not quite real. Do you wish you could speak English with genuine confidence and a natural flow that truly impresses people, leaving them feeling engaged and connected to you? Well, my friends, you are in the perfect place right now, because today's video reveals some powerful, often hidden secrets that will absolutely transform your English and help you sound incredibly natural and authentic. Many of you have shared your stories with me, telling me you're struggling to sound natural when you speak English. Maybe you understand almost everything you hear and read. You know many grammar rules very well, and you have a good range of vocabulary stored in your mind. But then, when you open your mouth to speak, it still feels a little stiff, a little foreign, perhaps a little hesitant. It's like a beautiful car that runs perfectly but just won't smoothly leave the garage. Don't worry, you are absolutely not alone in feeling this way. This is a very common challenge for English learners to move from simply being understood to actually sounding authentic, smooth, and genuinely confident. It's a significant bridge to cross. Today, I'm going to share some simple yet incredibly powerful tricks that native speakers use all the time, often without even realizing they're doing it, to make their English sound effortless, smooth, and truly confident. These aren't just about learning more advanced grammar rules or memorizing endless vocabulary lists. They are about understanding the rhythm, the fascinating connections between words, and the subtle human choices that will genuinely make your English shine and sound like real, living language. By the end of this video, you'll unlock the key to sounding more like a native English speaker, which will absolutely skyrocket your confidence in any conversation, in any situation you find yourself in. Imagine walking into a cafe, ordering your coffee, and chatting with the barista with such ease that they don't even think twice about your accent. They just hear you. You'll discover easy to apply strategies that will make you sound more fluent, more natural, and yes, they will definitely impress everyone around you. Not because you're showing off, but because you're speaking with genuine ease and authenticity. So let's dive into these exciting secrets. First, let's be absolutely clear about what we truly mean by speaking like a native speaker. It absolutely does not mean erasing your own unique accent completely. Your accent is a part of who you are, it's part of your unique identity, and it's something to be proud of. In fact, many native English speakers have very different accents from each other. Think about someone from London compared to someone from New York, or a person from Australia compared to someone from Ireland, or even a Canadian. They sound very different, but they are all native speakers. What native-like really means is mastering the natural rhythm, the rise and fall of intonation, and the common expressions that make English flow effortlessly and sound authentic. It means understanding the unspoken rules of casual conversation, knowing how to choose words and phrases that fit the situation perfectly, making you sound authentic, polite, and engaging, not just grammatically correct. It's about more than just knowing individual words. It's about understanding and using the music of the language, the feeling it carries, and how it's truly played in everyday life. Think about it like this. If you play music, you can hit all the right notes, exactly as they are written on the page. But if you don't have the rhythm, the feeling, or the right timing, the music won't sound natural or enjoyable to listen to. It will just sound like a series of notes. English is very similar. You can have all the right words and grammar, you can put them in the correct order, but if you're not using the natural rhythm and intonation, the way native speakers stress words and connect them, your speech can still sound a bit off, a bit unnatural, a bit like a computer. This is often where many learners get stuck. They spend years focusing diligently on vocabulary lists and grammar exercises, which are definitely important foundations, but they often miss the key elements that make English sound truly natural, truly alive, because these elements are about how words are said, not just which words are chosen. The first secret, and a very important one for that flowing sound, is connected speech and rhythm. Native speakers don't usually pronounce every single word clearly and separately, one after another, like a robot reading a list of instructions. Instead, words often smoothly link together. Sounds can change slightly when they meet other sounds, and sometimes certain sounds even disappear or are reduced, becoming almost silent. This blending creates a smooth, continuous flow, which is the natural rhythm of spoken English. For example, think about the phrase cup of tea. If you listen closely, many people naturally pronounce it like cup of tea, connecting the P sound from cup directly to the O from of, and reducing the word of to just an sound. It becomes one quick, smooth sound. Or consider want to. We very frequently hear and say wanna. Going to becomes gonna. Did you often sounds like did ya. This isn't lazy speaking, it's efficiency, it's speed, and it's simply the natural flow of spoken English. When you try to pronounce every word distinctly and perfectly, stopping after each one, it actually makes you sound less natural to a native ear, because native speakers expect and are used to these linked and blended sounds. To practice this, a fantastic method is shadowing a native speaker. Find short audio clips of everyday conversations, perhaps from a podcast, a short news report, or a clip from a show. Listen incredibly carefully to how words connect, how sounds merge, and then try your absolute best to copy that exact rhythm and linking. Don't just copy the words. Copy the sound, the melody, the way the words melt into each other. It's like learning a song. You learn the melody and rhythm, not just the individual notes. You'll literally feel your mouth and tongue starting to get used to these new movements. The second secret is mastering intonation and stress. English is not a flat language at all. Our voices go up and down like waves on the ocean, constantly changing pitch, adding color and meaning to our words. We put stress or emphasis on certain words in a sentence to highlight their most important meaning. For example, imagine I'm talking about a movie. If I say, I love this movie, I'm emphasizing my strong feeling or emotion about it. My passion comes through. If I say, I love this movie, I'm pointing out which specific movie I love, perhaps distinguishing it from another one I don't like as much. If I say, I love this movie, I'm differentiating it from, say, a book or a song that I might also love. But right now, I'm talking about the movie. This rise and fall, this varied stress, carries a lot of important meaning and makes your speech sound lively, engaging, and perfectly natural. Without it, even the most perfect grammar can sound dull, uninteresting, or even confusing because the listener doesn't know what you want to emphasize. To improve this, a simple and effective technique is to record yourself speaking and then listen back. How does your voice move? Is it mostly flat, like a robot talking? Or does it have a natural melody and up and down? Then listen to native speakers saying the same phrases and try to copy their voice patterns. Pay close attention to how questions usually rise at the end and how statements typically fall. Practice sounds like, really? With a rising tone for surprise or asking for confirmation versus really, with a falling tone for simple agreement or understanding. Play with it, just like a singer practices their notes. The third secret is using common expressions and phrasal verbs naturally. Native speakers use a huge number of idioms, phrasal verbs, and common phrases that don't always follow strict grammar rules or have literal meanings if you translate them word for word. These are the very building blocks of natural conversation. For example, instead of always saying, I understand, a native speaker might casually say, I get it, or I see what you mean. Instead of, I am very happy, they might express it with more flair, saying, I'm thrilled, or I'm over the moon, which sounds much more vibrant. Phrasal verbs like figure out, hang out, take off are incredibly common and can be tricky because their meaning isn't obvious from the individual words. Figure out means to solve a problem. Hang out means to spend time with someone. Take off can mean to remove clothing or for a plane to leave the ground. Learning these as complete chunks of language, as fixed units that go together, rather than trying to translate each word separately, is absolutely key. It's like learning a whole Lego piece instead of individual Lego bricks. Listen for these phrases in movies, TV shows, and podcasts. When you hear one that interests you, try to use it in your own speaking later that day, even if it's just in your in my head talk or a simple sentence you say aloud to yourself. The more you hear them and use them, the more natural they will become, and the more easily they will flow from your tongue, making you sound more like a seasoned speaker. The fourth secret is pausing and pacing naturally. Fluent speakers, even native ones, don't speak incredibly fast all the time without any breaks. In fact, speaking too fast, especially without clear pronunciation, can actually make you sound less clear and harder to understand. Native speakers use strategic pauses to breathe, to think about their next words, and to emphasize important points. They also vary their pacing. Sometimes they speak quickly when they are excited or telling a fast paced story, but sometimes they speak more slowly when explaining something complex or serious. If you speak at a constant, even speed, without any pauses or changes in pace, it can sound quite robotic or unnatural. Practice pausing at natural breaks in sentences, just like you would in your first language when you finish a thought or transition to a new idea. Don't be afraid of silence. A well-placed pause can make you sound more thoughtful, more confident, and more impactful, not less. It gives the listener a moment to process what you've said and gives yourself a moment to prepare your next words, leading to a much smoother conversation. Now that we've talked about what makes English sound native-like, let's focus on some common mistakes that learners often make, which can prevent them from achieving that natural flow. Being aware of these pitfalls is the first step to skillfully avoiding them and smoothing out your path to fluency. One of the biggest mistakes, and perhaps the most deeply ingrained habit, is direct translation from your first language. This is probably the most common practice that makes English sound unnatural and a bit clunky. When you think in your own language first and then translate word for word into English, you often end up with sentences that are grammatically correct but sound very strange, awkward, or even funny to a native speaker. For example, in many languages, you might literally say, I have hunger or I have cold. If you translate this directly, you get I have hunger instead of the natural English I am hungry, or I have cold instead of I am cold. Another classic example might be saying, I make a party instead of I have a party or I throw a party. This direct translation can also lead to misusing idioms or phrasal verbs, as their meaning is rarely literal. To avoid this, continue practicing that in my head talk, forcing your brain to connect concepts directly with English, not just words. When you hear a new English phrase, try to understand its meaning and situation directly without passing it through your first language like a filter. Another common mistake is ignoring connected speech and rhythm entirely. As we discuss, native speakers link words together seamlessly. If you pronounce every word separately with little pauses in between, like I am going to the store, it sounds very choppy, unnatural, and creates extra work for the listener to understand you. It's like trying to listen to music where every note is played completely separately without any flow or melody. This not only sounds unnatural, but can also make it harder for native speakers to understand you because they are not used to that broken rhythm. It sounds foreign to their ear. Actively practicing shadowing will directly address this mistake and help your mouth muscles learn the smooth, continuous flow. A third mistake is speaking with a lack of intonation or a flat voice. If your voice stays at the same level without rising and falling, without any changes in pitch, it can make your speech sound dull, uninterested, or even a little angry to a native ear, even if that's not your intention at all. It also makes it very hard to show emotion, express enthusiasm, or emphasize what's truly important in your message. Imagine trying to tell an exciting, suspenseful story, but your voice never changes its pitch or volume. The story would lose all its excitement and impact. This lack of vocal variety is a common barrier to sounding truly natural and engaging. Another error, particularly for advanced learners who have studied a lot of formal English, is overusing formal or academic language in casual settings. Many English courses focus on proper, formal English, which is excellent and necessary for writing essays, giving formal presentations, or official reports. However, if you use phrases like furthermore, moreover, consequently, or it is imperative that we proceed in a casual conversation with your friends at a cafe, it will sound very strange, overly stiff, and even a bit humorous to a native speaker. Native speakers use different levels of formality depending on the situation and the person they are talking to. Knowing when to use a casual hi versus a more formal good morning, how are you, is a crucial part of sounding truly natural. Practice simplifying your language for casual talks and learn common informal contractions like don't, won't, can't, as well as simpler, everyday vocabulary. Instead of I am utterly exhausted, try I'm really tired. Instead of I shall endeavor to complete the task, try I'll try to finish it. Finally, a very common and very significant mistake is focusing only on accuracy, not on fluency. Many learners are so worried, so anxious about making a grammar mistake or mispronouncing a word that they stop speaking altogether, or they hesitate for a very long time before saying anything. They prioritize being correct over being understood or being fluid in their communication. This intense focus on perfection often leads to tremendous hesitation, which, as we discussed, is the biggest enemy of fluency. Remember, communication is the primary goal. It's always better to make a few small mistakes and keep talking, getting your message across than to say nothing at all. Native speakers, you'll notice if you listen closely, make mistakes all the time. They correct themselves naturally, they hesitate, or they use filler words like or like. They prioritize getting their message across. Give yourself the same freedom to be imperfect and human. Beyond general fluency, many of you also approach me with a very specific and practical goal: mastering English for your specific career. This is a brilliant and very smart goal because professional English can be very, very different from everyday casual conversation. It's not just about sounding natural, but about sounding professional, confident, knowledgeable, and effective in your chosen field. Why does specialized English matter so much? Because using the right language in your career helps you build trust with colleagues, clients, and partners. It enables you to understand complex instructions and documents, present your ideas clearly and persuasively, negotiate effectively, and ultimately advance professionally. Imagine working in technology and not understanding terms like bug, algorithm, or cloud computing, or in healthcare, where medical terms like symptoms, diagnosis, or prescription are essential for patient safety. Knowing these specific words and phrases and understanding how they are used in context helps you fit in, understand your colleagues, and perform your job more effectively and confidently. It's like learning a very specific, powerful secret code that only people in your profession truly understand and use. So, how can you identify and effectively learn the English you need for your specific career? First, research job descriptions for roles you're interested in, even if you're not applying for them right now. Pay close attention to the specific vocabulary and required communication skills listed. What verbs do they use to describe duties? What specific nouns appear repeatedly in the responsibilities section? These are your target words. Second, read industry news, professional blogs, and reports in English. Follow influential companies and professionals in your field on LinkedIn or other professional platforms. What kind of language do they use in their posts, articles, or comments? This shows you real-world application of professional English. Third, listen to professional podcasts, webinars, or TED Talks related to your career. These are gold mines for authentic language used by experts in your field. For example, if you're in marketing, search for Marketing Podcasts English. You'll hear how professionals explain complex concepts, discuss trends, and communicate their ideas to their peers. Once you've identified these key terms and phrases, here are practical steps for mastering English for your career. Build industry-specific vocabulary. Create a special vocabulary notebook or digital list just for your career. Don't just list words. Write them in full sentences or common phrases that show their use in context. For example, if you're in marketing, don't just learn strategy. Develop a marketing strategy. Or our market strategy is too. If you're in healthcare, don't just learn symptoms. Describe your symptoms or monitor vital signs. Regularly review these specific terms and phrases. Master specific phrases and expressions. Every industry has its own way of talking, its own jargon, its own common expressions. In a business meeting, you might hear phrases like let's touch base, meaning let's talk again soon, circle back, meaning return to a topic later, or are we on the same page, meaning do we both understand and agree? Practice using these in sentences. For presentations, learn phrases like let's move on to the next point, or to summarize my main findings. For professional emails, practice opening lines like hope this email finds you well, and closing lines like looking forward to your response or sincerely. Role play common work scenarios. Practice mock interviews, imaginary team meetings, customer service calls, or presenting a project. You can do this alone, speaking to yourself in front of a mirror, or even better, with a language partner or a tutor who can give you feedback. For example, pretend you are explaining a complex technical idea to a client or dealing with a difficult customer complaint. The more you simulate real work situations, the more confident and prepared you'll become when they actually happen. This active rehearsal builds practical fluency and reduces anxiety. Active listening for context in your field. When you listen to industry content, pay attention not just to the words, but to the full context. When do they use very formal language? When do they switch to more casual terms? How do they give feedback or ask questions in a professional, polite way, especially when the topic is sensitive? Notice the tone and the structure of their professional communication. Practice professional writing. Write mock emails, short reports, or project proposals in English. This reinforces your vocabulary and grammar in a professional context and prepares you for real-world tasks. You can use online tools to check your grammar and style, but also make sure to read many examples written by native professionals in your field to see how they structure their documents and phrase their ideas. We've talked about shadowing and mimicry, which are fantastic, hands-on techniques, but let's take an even deeper look at learning directly from native speakers. This is perhaps the most enriching and fastest way to achieve truly natural English because it exposes you to authentic, spontaneous language use, which is simply unmatched by textbooks. Beyond just shadowing, actively engage with native speakers whenever you can. This doesn't mean you need to move to an English-speaking country immediately. You can find language exchange partners online through apps and websites specifically designed for this. Join online communities or forums where native speakers discuss topics you're interested in, or look for local English conversation groups or international meetups in your city. The key is regular, real-time interaction. When you speak with a native speaker, you get immediate feedback, not always direct corrections, but often from their reaction, their facial expressions, or how they respond to you. This real-time feedback, this back and forth, is invaluable. When you're listening to native speakers, whether in person or in a recording, practice active listening for nuances. It's not just about hearing the individual words and their meanings. It's about observing their tone of voice, their body language, how they make eye contact, and their common responses in different situations. How do they express surprise? Do they say, wow, or no way, or you're kidding? How do they show they agree without just saying yes? They might nod or say, exactly, or you got it, or that's so true. How do they politely interrupt or change the subject in a conversation without being rude? These are subtle yet very important social cues and linguistic patterns that make conversation feel incredibly natural and smooth. Pay attention to how they start conversations, how they end them, and how they navigate small talk about the weather, current events, or their day. Don't be afraid to ask for feedback from native speakers you trust and who are willing to help. If you have a language exchange partner, politely ask them to correct your mistakes, especially when it comes to natural phrasing, pronunciation, or rhythm. You can say something like, could you please tell me if I use that phrase naturally? Or, did that sound okay when I said it? Or, is there a more common way to say that? Or, I'm trying to sound more natural. Did anything I say sound a bit stiff? Most native speakers are very happy to help if you ask politely and show that you are genuinely trying to learn. They appreciate your effort and your desire to improve. Also, focus on observing social cues and conversational strategies. Notice how native speakers take turns speaking in a group. How do they express agreement or disagreement in a way that is polite and respectful, even if they disagree strongly? How do they clarify something they don't understand without seeming rude? They might say, "Could you explain that again, please?" Or, "Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Could you repeat it?" Or, "Do you mean?" These are vital conversational skills that you won't always find in grammar textbooks, but you will learn them from watching and interacting with real speakers. Finally, embrace exposure to different native accents. English is spoken all over the world, with many different native accents, for example, American, British, Canadian, Australian, Irish, South African, and many more. Don't limit yourself to just one type of accent if you can help it. Listen to podcasts from different English speaking countries, watch movies and TV shows from various regions. The more variety you expose yourself to, the better your ear will become at understanding different ways of speaking, and the more adaptable you will be in real world conversations with people from all over the globe. This builds resilience in your listening skills and broadens your understanding of what native like truly means globally. Let's now take all these powerful ideas and integrate them into a very effective daily practice plan that you can realistically fit into even the busiest of your days. Remember, the key here is consistency over intensity. It's always better to do a little bit every day than a lot just once a week. Think of it like watering a plant. Tiny drops of water every day will make it grow, but a lot of water once a month might not be enough. In the morning, for just 2 minutes right after you wake up while you're getting ready, perhaps brushing your teeth, making your first cup of tea, or simply looking out the window, quietly practice your in my head talk. Describe what you're doing or seeing. I am opening the window. I see a red car on the street. The birds are singing loudly outside today. It feels peaceful. I need to remember to buy milk later. You could also quickly plan your day mentally in English. First, I'll check emails. Then I have a meeting with my team about the new project, which starts at 10 a.m. This short exercise wakes up your English brain and activates those thinking in English pathways right from the start of your day, making English a natural part of your inner world. On your way to work or school for 5 minutes, whether you're walking, on a bus, or sitting in a car, put on a short English podcast, an audiobook, or a clear video. Listen closely and practice shadowing a few sentences. Really try your best to copy the sounds, the speed, and the intonation, paying attention to how words link together and how sentences rise and fall. Try to literally feel your mouth and tongue moving like the speakers, getting a physical feel for the sounds. This is crucial for developing natural rhythm and pronunciation muscle memory. During your lunch break for 1 minute, find a quiet spot where you won't be disturbed and do your freestyle talk. Just talk about anything at all for that minute without stopping. It could be about your food, your plans for the afternoon, a funny memory from yesterday, or even just what you're seeing around you in the cafeteria, describing the people, the colors, or the sounds. If you feel comfortable, you can even record it on your phone. It's a fantastic way to track your progress and objectively hear your own voice, often sounding much better than you imagine. This builds your ability to speak spontaneously and without fear. In the afternoon or early evening, for 3 to 5 minutes, actively seek out and notice career-specific English. If you're in marketing, read a marketing article in English. If you're in IT, Watch a short tutorial on a new software. If you're in healthcare, read a patient information leaflet. Identify 2 to 3 new words or phrases specific to your field and try to use them in a sentence, either spoken or written, perhaps in a mock email to a colleague or a note to yourself. This focused practice builds your professional vocabulary and makes you more confident when you need to use English at work. In the evening for 30 seconds to 1 minute, while you're cooking dinner, tidying up, or relaxing on the sofa, consciously practice using those bridge words. Think of a question someone might ask you, like, "What do you think about the new city park?" And practice saying, let me see. I think that, or, hmm, you know, it's a good question. I've been considering. To smoothly begin your answer, even if you don't have the full answer ready. This builds a vital skill for real time conversation flow and reduces those awkward silences. Finally, before you go to sleep, take 2 minutes to listen back to your freestyle talk recording from earlier. This part is incredibly important for self reflection. Don't be critical or hard on yourself. Listen with kindness. Instead, just notice one good thing you did, one positive aspect, like I spoke for the whole minute without stopping, or my voice sounded clearer than last time. And then, gently, think of one small thing you'd like to try differently next time. For example, I noticed I said goed, but next time I'll remember to say went. After this short positive check, just smile and relax for good night's sleep, knowing you've actively worked on your English. That's a total daily practice time of perhaps 15 to 20 minutes in total. A very manageable amount for most people, even with busy schedules. Yet, doing it consistently every single day will make a huge and truly noticeable difference in your English speaking, building neural pathways that make speaking more automatic and less effortful. It's a powerful investment of very little time for enormous long-term gains. Remember, dear English learners, your journey to speaking English like a native speaker is a beautiful, continuous process. Much like a long, interesting walk through a new and exciting landscape filled with discoveries and new vistas, rather than a fast race to a finish line. There will be sunny days where words come easily and you feel great, and perhaps a few rainy ones where you feel a bit stuck, where things feel challenging, but every single step forward counts no matter how small. Embrace the powerful way of thinking that getting better is far more important than being perfect. Perfection can be a paralyzing and often unattainable goal, something that stops you before you even start, while continuous improvement is always within your reach. Understand deeply that using your English now, even if it feels imperfect, even if you stumble or make mistakes, is the absolute best and fastest way to truly improve and gain genuine confidence. You learn by doing, by experimenting, by daring to speak, by making sounds with your mouth, and most importantly, develop the freeing idea to see your mistakes as helpful messages. Think of them not as errors to be ashamed of or a reason to stop trying, but as little friendly notes from your brain, gently guiding you on what to learn and get better at next. They are stepping stones on your path to mastery, not stumbling blocks that should stop you. Use the in my head talk, shadowing, freestyle talk, bridge words, and the very useful skill of describing what you don't know as your easy and trusty tools, always ready to support you when you need them. On those days when you are very busy or feeling tired and you think you have no time at all, just commit to doing one tiny, small thing, even just 30 seconds of in my head talk. On good days when you feel more energized and inspired, you might feel compelled to do more. Either way, the most important thing is to consistently keep your English river flowing, even just a little bit every single day. You truly have immense power inside you to speak English naturally, confidently, and with great joy. It's not about reaching some impossible, flawless perfection that doesn't really exist even for native speakers. It's profoundly about being understood, about connecting truly and authentically with other people, and about allowing your own unique voice to shine through in English. You bring your own perspective, your own stories, your own personality, and these are far more valuable than perfect grammar. So, right now, wherever you are, pick a simple topic, set your timer for a minute, and just let your words flow from within you like a continuous stream. Remember, even small rivers with steady, persistent flow can carve out big, beautiful valleys and sculpt magnificent mountains over long periods. Your own English river has already started its amazing journey. Keep it moving, try to keep it clear, and enjoy every little splash and ripple along the way. Your journey is an active, exciting, and wonderfully rewarding adventure. Speak today, speak tomorrow, and very soon you will find yourself speaking without thinking, just sharing your ideas, laughing with others, and truly connecting. You can absolutely, definitely do this. That's all for today on English in Advance. If this detailed episode was truly helpful for you, please show your support by hitting that like button, sharing this video with anyone who is learning English, and of course, subscribing to the channel so you never miss our next helpful lesson. And now I would love to hear from you in the comments below. After listening to this, what is one new way or idea you are most excited to try in your English practice? I read every one of your comments. Until next time, keep practicing, keep learning, and keep improving your English. Bye for now.